Today, I have something very special. I want to share with you the exact 7-step system for how I've learned to stick to my habits consistently forever. To start living a life where I actually value those good habits of going to the gym, reading, meditating, to start valuing delayed gratification over instant gratification. I want to share with you each step in detail and how you can see immediate results. I've also added a whole section on getting over the 4 problems that I ran into after immediately implementing this system. So my story starts in the middle of the Oregon forest outside Mount Hood, and that is when I finally made the decision. And that decision changed the course of my habits and life forever. I instantly felt different. I got back into meditating. I got back into reading. I was running and walking every single day. Man, I've been consuming self-improvement, YouTube content, and everything for like 4 years. And it wasn't until this day that I finally saw meaningful results. This was actually very meaningful week. Getting back on self-improvement, reading, meditating again, running, just everything. So I feel like this was a very transformational week. So I'm happy, very happy. I finally got to the root of the problem and addressed the real root of the problem and made the decision that actually addressed. And that's what I want to share with you today, this process. So part 1 of this is learning about the process of human behavior, which is foundational for what we need to make long-term change. So if you're like me, you've heard the advice of you just need to be more disciplined. You just need to keep moving forward. You just need more willpower. What I've learned is these are all surface level problems. They're symptoms of the real problem that we need to address. For example, an apple tree with rotten roots will never produce good apples. The roots create the fruits. So if we want to change the fruits, we have to address and change the roots. So what I didn't understand all this time was that change doesn't happen at the behavior level, at the surface level. Simply deciding to start a habit isn't sustainable long term. We need to change the roots of the tree to help us sustain this long-term change. So we're going to break down the stack of behavior and action into 4 parts. And the first one is our actions. So our actions are what we do every day, whether that's we eat food, we work on something, we read, meditate, go on a walk. If we think about what happens in our mind or in our body before we take an action, for example, before I eat food, typically what happens is I feel hungry. So we act based on our feelings. Our emotions dictate how we feel. And so our emotions are driving that behavior. If our subconscious mind has to pick between a deeply rooted emotion and logic, it will always pick that deeply rooted emotion. So a couple years ago, I worked on this project and built this website that would parse the text, the chat of live streams, and would highlight specific moments based on what the chat was saying. It's probably to this day one of my most proud accomplishments of creating that. And I was trying to take it one step further and actually reach out to live streamers and people that have this problem of highlighting moments from their live stream. I reached out to a couple streamers, and one in particular that I followed quite a lot. And his editor got back to me, and he said that he wasn't willing to check out my website. I just remember taking that so personally. I just spent the rest of the day ruminating on how this particular editor, live streamer, didn't want to look at my proud accomplishment, essentially. How I essentially failed. And it dug up these like emotions of not feeling good enough, not feeling accepted. I even wrote about this. This was a time when I was journaling, and I wrote about how important it is to reframe failures. That was an attempt to be logical in this situation. And no matter how hard I tried, it didn't work. No matter how hard I tried to be logical about, all right, this, we have to reframe failures as learnings, and, failures are important for our development and all this stuff that I wrote. It's like the deeply rooted emotion is what won in that situation. So we have our actions at the top, our behavior, and what drives that is our feelings and emotions. After that, we can even go deeper than that, because typically our emotions just come and go. They're rooted in something deeper. We can't really control that. What drives our feelings and emotions below that is our thoughts. If you've ever taken a minute to think about what you're thinking about and the thoughts that are coming in your mind, you might have also found that it seems quite random. This is something that I've learned from meditation, is that we can't really control our thoughts. They just come and go, and they just pop into our mind out of nowhere. But there is something that we can change. Behavior goes one level deeper of this. So we have our actions, we have our feelings and emotions, then we have our thoughts. The last level of this is our identity. Our identity is who we tell ourselves we are. It's our beliefs about the world. It's our perceptions. It's how we see the world. Our identity controls everything that we do. And it doesn't matter if these beliefs, if these perceptions, if our identity matches reality, if it's true or not. It controls everything that we do. So in 5th grade, I found out that I was actually behind the curve, behind the rest of the class in my reading ability. And so I needed extra help. I spent after school time with one-on-one with my teacher reading. I had assignments to read these books at home. Essentially, whether they meant it or not, I was told that I was not good at reading. But now I read almost every single day. And that's because I've tied my identity to someone who reads. So my identity forms this foundation of how I think. And I think during the day about, oh, I'd like to read. And that creates this feeling and emotion of the feeling of reading. And that those feelings and emotions create the action of reading for me. So it's this 4 layers of behavior and action. We have actions, feelings, thoughts, and identity. And so this is what I've learned about actions and behaviors. I want to talk about how we can change. There are 4 steps to change. And the first step is always awareness. You can't change something unless you know that thing actually exists. The second step in change is, after awareness, is understanding. We want to understand where our thinking, where our identity, our thoughts have come from. If we can understand where they originated from, our goal is to understand that most times those thoughts, that identity that we're holding on to, is not actually ours. It came from somewhere outside, from parents, school, media, telling us what our identity is, telling us how we should act in the world. And once we can understand that those thoughts in our mind are coming from outside of us, that were planted by someone else, the third step is we can start to disassociate with those thoughts. We can separate ourselves and our own identity and thoughts from the thoughts that aren't ours. And so once we can start to disassociate and separate those thoughts that aren't ours, the 4th step is we can recondition. We can start to rewire our subconscious mind, our identity, and our thoughts to become the type of person that we want to become and that achieves the goals that we want to achieve. So that was part 1, the process of human behavior. We have our actions and our behaviors, the stack of behavior, and then we have how change can actually happen. Now, I want to take a brief moment to just give you an opportunity to think about what you're feeling, what you're thinking right now, because most people have clicked off the video by now. Most people are looking for another motivational video about how to, you just need to be more disciplined and you need to want it as hard as you can breathe. And belief is the starting point of change. I'm convinced of this fact. I've heard it from so many different sources that literally it just comes down to your mindset and your beliefs, and changing that foundational skill is how you actually make long-term change in our lives. I was in the comments section another day on a video, and I saw this comment that said, "How do I get my stupid lazy ass to be productive and consistent?" My question to you is, do you think the answer to this person is they just need more discipline and they need more willpower? Or is it something foundational? Is it something foundational in their mind that they're believing, that they're perceiving about reality, that they're affirming to their own identity? Do they need more discipline? Or is it something deeper than that? I'm convinced that our identity and our beliefs are the foundation of everything and anything. And that is the process that I want to help share with you right now. So this system has two general parts. I'm going to split it up into, we need to change our identity, and then we need to reinforce that new identity. And with reinforcing, we can do it in two different ways. On the offense of actively reminding, reaffirming, and then on the defense of taking time to reflect and rewarding the actions that we're taking. So that day in Oregon, that decision that I made was the first day that I decided officially and intentionally that I was on self-improvement, that was part of my identity. That day, I wrote in my journal, "I feel as though I've been halfway on self-improvement the last 2 years. I've gone through spurts where I was more disciplined and intentional about meditating, reading, working out, etc. Whatever that was, it's different from where I've decided I am today. I want to be more intentional about self-improvement, doing things because I'm on self-improvement." Today, September 8th, 2022, marks the first full day that I'm officially on self-improvement for the rest of time. And that day, I felt instantly different. It happened instantly. I felt the immediate results of changing that foundational who I am to fit who I want to be. So, before we get into this, 2 links in the description. First is a free worksheet guide that you can follow along with. You can print it out, put it up on your wall. Second is a written version of this whole guide. They're both free. Second one's on my website. Go check it out. Okay, step 1 in this process is, what do you want? The first step is identifying what you actually want. This is high level. What kind of life do you want? What kind of, how do you want to spend your time? What's your dream life like? And the reason we're starting high level is we are essentially reverse engineering our goals to our actions. This will all make sense. It'll all click by step 4, I promise. You want to bring emotion into this. Remember that our subconscious acts on that deeply rooted emotion. So if there's a moment in time that you can think of that like perfectly matches your dream life, if you have had a perfect day, write that down. Or if you had this day that you were just disgusted with how you feel, hatred is the emotion that you're feeling, write that down as well. So this will be different for every person, but I will share with you some things as accountability for what I wrote down, and I'll show you kind of examples of this process. But remember, this will be different for every person, and it'll be different for you than me. If you're watching this far, you probably have similar goals to me. So I hope that I can provide a kind of framework platform of examples for you. But remember, these need to come from deep inside your own mind. So I broke this up into 3 things: dream life, purpose, and pains. Under dream life, I can pay for things without needing to think about the price. I can choose how I spend my time every day. I can choose to travel anywhere in the world. Under my purpose, I work because it's part of my responsibility to give back. I work to help others achieve their dreams. I work so I can spend my time with my future kids. And then the pains that I'm running from. I hate penny pinching. I hate the feeling of not making progress towards goals that I value. I hate seeing people get complacent with their lives. Step 2, what are the requirements for what you want? Logically, what do you need to obtain? What needs to happen? How do you spend your time? We're thinking prefrontal cortex logically, what needs to happen? What is required for that? So I wrote down, I need to work on things that challenge me and push me. I need to be responsible and accountable for others, which will bring meaning and purpose. I need to create business systems, something that I have 100% control over, something that has a barrier to entry, something that solves a specific problem, something that makes money detached from my time, something that reaches a lot of people and or is priced high. Step 3, what type of person achieves those requirements? So next, we're detailing out the type of person that achieves those. What do they believe about the world? What is their identity? What do they value in the world? How do they spend their time? Forget about yourself, how you spend your time, your beliefs, your perceptions. Think only about the requirements, logically. What type of person achieves those? I start each with someone that. So I wrote, someone that identifies and solves problems. Someone that executes on ideas, that takes action. Someone that has an audience that can reach a lot of people. Someone that shares valuable knowledge and helps teach things to others. Someone that learns new things every day, that is constantly learning. Now I'm going to stop here for a second. You should now have a clear picture of the type of person that achieves the requirements, and those requirements will achieve your dream life that you want, the things that you want. And so what is really important about this step here is that we have full 100% confidence that the type of person will achieve those requirements and dream life. That connection, that thread needs to be made. We need to believe fully that the type of person that we just described achieves those requirements and goals. So next, step 4, we just found our new identity. That person that we just described is now our new identity. And so in this step, we're going to detail out our identity that matches this type of person. And I started these with I am. So I wrote, I am a problem solver. I am a teacher. I am a lifelong learner. I am on self-improvement. Our goal here is that we are going to become the type of person that achieves the requirements and thus our dream life. We are becoming the type of person. We are becoming the identity that achieves those. I went on a walk this morning and I was thinking about this. And I was thinking about, different animals in the world. Like bees. Bees make honey. They create hives because they're bees. What do beavers do? They build dams because they're beavers. Labrador retriever dogs, they retrieve and fetch sticks. These things are part of their identity. And so if you think a writer, an author, is someone who writes. A reader is someone who reads. So the identity is what creates that action. Step 5 is affirmations. And so here we are describing how our new identity acts. This is like day to day, and we want to write these out in a way that we are envisioning that we have the things and we are doing the things already. So this is very like I go micro to day to day kind of activities. So under each identity statement, I write out like how that identity acts. So I wrote, I'm a problem solver. I take action on ideas. I'm a teacher. I share things that I find valuable. I teach others how to achieve their dreams. I help others solve their problems. I'm a lifelong learner. I can learn anything. I read every day. I learn specific skills every day. I pursue things that challenge me. I am on self improvement. I take care of my mental health. I meditate every day. I pursue activities that delay gratification. I avoid activities that give instant gratification. And so here I also listed out things that I need or want to just remind myself that don't necessarily fit into that structure above. And similarly, in that format of I already have it. So I wrote, I excel at every single thing I do. Everything is my fault. Results are all that matter, one step at a time. So step 6 is reinforcing our affirmations and identity. Chances are pretty good that you've held your beliefs, your identity for years, if not decades. So results, changing these results, even though in that day in Oregon, I had I felt immediately different. The sustaining is going to take reinforcement because I had these beliefs for the past 20 years, 20 plus years of my life. And so I have to rewire my subconscious, rewire my identity. And the best way I've learned to fast track this is just reinforcing, continual reinforcement. My goal here is that every single day, I am rereading and I am speaking out loud these affirmations and identity statements that I created above, because becoming that type of person is going to get me to where I want to go. Some ideas that I can give you to help reinforce are making a repeating calendar event every single morning, afternoon, evening, right before bed, etc. Set up a reminder app. I've been using this app called Randomly Remind Me. Where's my phone? Oh my God, I'm recording on my phone. I'll link it down below for Android. It's free. Essentially, you can set it up to send you notifications randomly throughout the day and with random text. So I just listed out all of these affirmations and identity statements inside of there. And now at random points in the day, I'm getting these notifications of I read every day. I meditate every day. I pursue activities that delay gratification. And that is helping to reinforce these thoughts. You can also take a screenshot of your statements, set it as your lock screen. You can write them down on a piece of paper, print them out, stick them to your wall that you see every day or your door. You can set a repeating to-do list task. So I use this app called Todoist. It's free. I think it's on both Android and Apple. And I have every single day a repeating task called Daily Affirmations. And I just check it off. Read it, check it off every single day. And the last trick for you is habit stacking. Creating a new habit is best if we can stack it onto another one. So like if you brush your teeth every day, which I hope you brush your teeth every day, maybe you read them right after you brush your teeth every day. And so the habit that you already ingrained in your mind of brushing your teeth, now you just have to remember, okay, after I brush my teeth, I read my affirmations. Or for me, every night right before bed, before I hit the alarm clock, I read them out, and then I go to bed. And then when I wake up, I've been about like 50, 60% good on this every single morning. Wake up, open my phone, immediately read those affirmations. Okay, last step 7, is taking action and rewarding it. For some reason, I watched this video the other day, and it was like people bag on affirmations and visualizations and manifestations because they have some belief that all they have to do is visualize a Lamborghini in their driveway and then it'll appear. And then they get upset when it doesn't happen. And I don't understand this. Our identity drives our actions. And so we actually have to take actions. And this last step is rewarding those actions. So all those small little wins that match this new identity, reward those. And so in my Obsidian journal, I have a note called I am a problem solver, which is one of my identity and affirmation statements. And in there, every single day, I write down a problem that I identified in the day and who it's for and what my solution would be or product would be to address that. I also have another note in there that says I take action on ideas. And so whenever I get to a point where I want to, or I recognize that I had an idea, but then I took action on it, I executed on it, I write in that, today I did this, yesterday I did this, or remember that time when I did this. And I get this dopamine hit of seeing these lists grow of things. And now I'm starting to get to a point where I look at this list and I'm like, whoa, I am a problem solver. I do take action on ideas. Like, look at all this evidence I have. And so this last step is taking action and rewarding those small wins, whether it's writing down or, making a little video about it or whatever you need to do to reward those actions that match your new identity. Okay, congratulations. You've just made it through the 7-step system. I have 2 bonus things I want to go through because changing how you act means at a fundamental level, we need to integrate new habits. And so I hope that you feel quite motivated if you followed through with this process. And I want to help you through using that motivation to create long-term systems and habits that work for you, that help you reinforce this identity. So this is everything that I know about integrating new habits. Habits follow a pattern of 4 steps. The first step is cue. This is what happens in your environment that makes your brain start to recognize and create a craving. So I open my phone and I see a notification from Instagram or like a new YouTube video that starts this craving of like, oh, I want to open Instagram. I want to open YouTube. The second step in this is the craving. This is the motivation to initiate the behavior. This is, you get a little hit of dopamine that causes you to take action. So when I see that Instagram notification, YouTube video, I get that craving of, I want to go look at that. That craving is what causes me to take action. The third step is the response. So this is the actual action, the actual behavior, the thought. So when I open my phone, I see that notification, I click on YouTube, open it up, and I'm watching the video. That is the response, actually taking the action. And the fourth step is the reward. So as I'm watching that video, I get that satisfaction of, I cleared the notification, I get the instant gratification of some funny video or entertainment. That is the fourth step. Habits in 4 steps: cue, craving, response, reward. So if we want to design good quality habits, we can take advantage of this 4-step pattern. So for example, if I want to start reading, for number 1, for cue, we want to make it totally obvious. So I'll put my book right on my pillow. If I want to read every night, I put it right on my pillow. I see it. It's totally obvious. Number 2 is the craving. We want to make it attractive. So I want to pick a book that I'm actually interested in reading, not just like a bland, boring textbook or something. Make it interesting, make it attractive. The third, response, we want to make it easy to do. So rather than, oh, I'm going to read a whole chapter, just, I'm going to read for 5 minutes. I'm going to read for 2 minutes. I'm going to read 3 pages. We want to start easy, start simple, and build from there. We'll get to the reading for an hour a day later. We'll get there. The fourth, reward, we want to make it satisfying. So if you have like a to-do list or something and you have a task every day, checking off that item gives you a little reward of, I did the action. Or if you have, a piece of paper, check boxes for each day, you check off the box, that gives you that little reward, makes it rewarding. And so if we want to break old habits, we can also leverage this 4-step pattern. So for cue, we want to make it invisible. So for Instagram, I will, I would put my phone on do not disturb. I would remove the app so I just don't see the notifications in general. I'm not getting those cues in my brain. For the second one, craving, we want to make it unattractive. So maybe I put my phone on the other side of the room. I uninstall the app. It's unattractive for me to, get that craving satisfied. The third one, response, we want to make it difficult. So yeah, maybe I put my phone on the other side of the room. So it's like if I want to check, or I turn my phone off. If I want to check Instagram, I have to go all the way across the apartment or all the way across the house and grab my phone. I need to turn my phone on and wait for it. We want to make that process difficult to do. And the last one, number 4, reward, we want to make it unsatisfying to do. So if you've ever felt the discomfort of scrolling for hours and just that disgusting feeling of having wasted your time, remember that feeling. Make it unsatisfying. Remember that feeling when you're like, oh, I just felt disgusting last time. That helps with if you're stacking up these other patterns to obliterate these old habits. Alrighty, the last section of this is the essential tips, the 4 problems that I ran into, and I want to help you through these now so that when you inevitably run into them, you have the tools needed to get through them. Number 1 is how to get through the valley of despair. If you haven't heard, there are 5 steps to emotional change. Those are uninformed optimism, informed pessimism, the valley of despair, informed optimism, success, and fulfillment. So a couple days after the excitement and motivation of this new system had disappeared, I was left with just who I was and how I continued to act. And so I had trouble continuing to keep up the habit of rereading these affirmations every single day. And I actually processed these thoughts in a daily V. I'll also link that down below if you want to go check it out. But these are my tips for how to get through this to the other side. The first thing is designing habits around your laziest, most unmotivated days rather than how you feel like right now. So remember I talked about reading. Like, make the habit read for 2 pages or make the habit read for 5 minutes, because you can do that when you feel lazy. Reading for 2 pages takes you 2 minutes? And so we want to sustain this habit for the long term. We're not always going to be super motivated to read for 3 hours every day. We want to sustain this for the long term. So design around your laziest days. The second is make a tweak to the cue craving response reward pattern. Can I make this habit more obvious to me? Can I make this more attractive? Can I make this easier to complete? Can I make this more satisfying? The third is keep rereading those affirmations. If you get self-doubt, I've had self-doubt as well, lean on those affirmations. Remember, I talked about right before step 4, we have confidence that the type of person that we are becoming achieves those goals. So if I feel self-doubt of like, oh, it's just so far in the future, it's so hard to achieve, lean back on becoming the type of person. Keep rereading those affirmations. Last tip, if it's towards the end of the day, set yourself up for success the next day. Get a good night's sleep, tackle the day. It's a new day tomorrow, and get ready for the next day. Because many times for me, a day that I've skipped habits and felt off and just not felt good, the next day, new day, I feel totally fine, and it's like a complete reset. Okay, tip number 2, how to get over the mental hurdle of just starting. Back a year or 2 ago, I really had a lot of trouble when I would get into these phases of scrolling social media on the couch of just not feeling like doing anything, or walking around my apartment thinking, oh, I should be, I could work on I could do some journaling, work on my second brain, and just not feeling like doing anything. And so one of the tips that I've learned is pick a really small task to do, something that you can complete. So whether that be just putting your phone down and standing up, or putting away a single dish from the kitchen into the cupboard. And what I've learned is that there's sciencey stuff. There's actual psychology behind this. And when you complete a task that you set out to complete, no matter how small, your brain, you'll get a little bit of dopamine, and when you complete that dopamine circuit, you get adrenaline, and adrenaline literally produces motivation and gives you the ability to act on other things and to do other tasks. So if you set out to like vacuum or whatever, and you don't feel like doing it, that task is too big. Think about the task of getting the vacuum out of the closet or just standing up, because those can be tasks in and of themselves. Another little tactic that I've learned from sitting down and working in coffee shops is, if I feel like I'm in this state of procrastination and I want to start thinking and writing, but I just keep doing little things, I'll set a timer, and that has every single time instantly, like that, been like, all right, it's time to work. I just set a timer, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, and that instantly shifts my mindset to where I can start working. All right, third tip, how to see results faster. Now, the first thing we need to understand is that results will take time. We are working with decades of our identity and beliefs about the world that we are trying to shift. It's not going to take a day, it's not going to take a week, it's going to take years. That's at least what I'm banking on. And so I have put my focus more on the systems, the habits, the process, trusting my confidence rather than seeing the fruits of my labor yet. Now, if you do want to see results quickly, we talked about the fourth step of habits is the reward. Think about what you can do to reward that action. So, like, can you check off a box every day? Can you do something that rewards the habits to make you see those results quicker? The second little tactic is to drastically change your environment, and this will like reset everything. Now, when I started van life, and even when I was doing camping in my 4Runner, my nighttime routine was completely changed. It's like the location of my toothbrush is different, the location of where my floss is, how I move, where the sink is, the height of the sink, everything was different. And so my nighttime routine was completely turned upside down. But that gave me an opportunity to relearn all of my habits. And so this drastic change of the environment, it took me like 2 weeks to just relearn the specific steps of, I mean, besides like brushing and flossing, but like, do I blow my nose? And like, when do I go to the bathroom versus when do I brush my teeth and floss, and all of that. It took me like 2 weeks to just get that habit ingrained in me. And so it's really this complete change of environment that caused this. So you can try things like wake up earlier, go to bed earlier, move your desk or bed to another part of the room, book an Airbnb hotel for the weekend somewhere new, visit a new place you've never been. All of these just help recalibrate your habits. So you're in this new environment, you're in this new totally new place, and have to relearn those basics. The fourth and final tip before I talk about the next steps for this is content consumption. So we've all heard that quote, like, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I think the modern day version of this is you are the average of the 5 people whose content you consume. And so our community, our tribe, the beliefs, the perceptions about reality, that we're hearing and consuming every day is reinforcing our beliefs and our identity. So for me, I have shifted those continually more towards the people that have what I want and how they got there. And so learning from their beliefs and identity, perceptions about reality, what they believe is true, is helping to reinforce my own identity. Already, you have reached the end. I want to say thank you for taking the time to watch. And I want to talk about next steps. I've been synthesizing 2 next steps potentially from this, from a bunch of different sources. The first next step is mental health. Now, mental health is definitely a lifelong journey. I've gotten a lot more focused on it recently, and I will say that if you've tried everything in this guide and you're still having trouble, that it might be your mental health that needs attention. There were so many moments of me sitting on the couch just scrolling social media and whatever, and I probably wouldn't have been able to go through this guide because my mental health was just trash. And so exercising, expressing gratitude, meditation, and decreasing the amount of social media that I consumed has really helped in my ability to focus and ability to make those changes. The second one is becoming more rational, stoic, not letting emotions affect us as much. I'm still working on this. It's really slotted for like that second step of the our actions stack of not letting those emotions dictate our behaviors. I've heard from so many different sources, particularly historical sources, of the importance of this. So it's something else I am actively thinking about and wanting to research more. So if you've learned anything new or helpful, drop a comment below. Let's get through this together. And I want to thank you again for taking the time, if you made it this far, for sure, for taking some time, your precious time and attention to watch this video. And I will catch you in the next one. Remember, worksheet and summary in the description below. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.